The Pro Wrestling Almanac Podcast. Celebrating professional wrestling from yesterday, today, and tomorrow. For wrestling fans, by wrestling fans.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to episode 15 of the Pro Wrestling Almanac Podcast. On this week's episode, we're going to discuss Impact Wrestling's network home, pulled from Dish Network. Roman Reigns becoming a Grand Slam champion, Paige's long-awaited return to the NXT Women's Call-Ups, an update on the medical conditions of Kamala, and the 2018 WWE pay-per-view schedule has been released. For our Ghost of Wrestling Past segment, we will cover the Survivor Series 1990 and our Indie Spotlight segment featuring an interview with Cody Devine. But first, it's time for the Wrestling Results Roundup.
The Wrestling Results Roundup. Here are the results from this week's televised shows. On NXT, Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford beat Riddick Moss and Tino Sabatelli. Lars Sullivan beat Raul Mendoza, and Ember Moon beat Mercedes Martinez. On Impact Wrestling, Desmond Xavier, Sanjay Dutt, and Garza Jr. beat X Division champion Trevor Lee, Caleb Conley, and Taiji Ishimori. Impact Grand Champion Ethan Carter III beat Falaba. LAX, Santana Ortiz, and Homicide beat OVE World Tag Team Champions Jake and Dave Christ and Sami Callihan. And Global Champion Eli Drake beat Petey Williams. On WWE Main Event, Heath Slater beat Kurt Hawkins, and Grand Metalik beat Tony Nese. On NXT TakeOver War Games, Lars Sullivan beat Cassius Ohno, Aleister Black beat The Velveteen Dream, Ember Moon beat Kairi Sane, Peyton Royce, and Nikki Cross to win the vacant NXT Women's Championship. Andrade Cien Almas beat Drew McIntyre to win the NXT Championship, and the Undisputed Era, Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly beat the Authors of Pain, Akam and Razor, and Roderick Strong, and Sanity, Eric Young, Killian Dane, and Alexander Wolf in a War Games match. On Ring of Honor TV, Silas Young beat Jonathan Gresham, Shane Taylor beat Cheeseburger, and Matt Taven beat Jay White. On the WWE Survivor Series kickoff show, Elias beat Matt Hardy, Cruiserweight Champion Enzo Amore beat Kalisto, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn beat Breezango, Tyler Breeze, and Fandango. On WWE Survivor Series 2017, The Shield, Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins beat The New Day, Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods. Team Raw, Alicia Fox, Nia Jax, Sasha Banks, Asuka, and Bayley beat Team SmackDown, Becky Lynch, Carmella, Tamina, Naomi, and Natalya in a Survivor Series elimination match. United States Champion Baron Corbin beat Intercontinental Champion The Miz. SmackDown Tag Team Champions The Usos, Jimmy and Jey Uso, beat Raw Tag Team Champions Cesaro and Sheamus. SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair beat Raw Women's Champion Alexa Bliss. Universal Champion Brock Lesnar beat WWE Champion AJ Styles. And Team Raw, Kurt Angle, Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, and Triple H beat Team SmackDown, Shane McMahon, Randy Orton, Shinsuke Nakamura, Bobby Roode, and John Cena in a Survivor Series elimination match. On WWE Raw, Samoa Joe beat Finn Balor. Asuka beat Dana Brooke. Dean Ambrose beat Sheamus. Bayley, Mickie James, Alicia Fox, and Sasha Banks fought to a no contest. Braun Strowman beat Jason Jordan via disqualification. Akira Tozawa, Mustafa Ali, Rich Swann, and Cedric Alexander beat Drew Gulak, Tony Nese, Arya Daivari, and Noam Dar. And Roman Reigns beat The Miz to win the Intercontinental Championship. On WWE SmackDown Live, Shelton Benjamin beat Jey Uso. The Bludgeon Brothers, Harper and Rowan, beat the Hype Bros, Mojo Rawley and Zack Ryder. Natalya beat SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair via disqualification. And Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn beat The New Day in a lumberjack match. On WWE 205 Live, Akira Tozawa beat Drew Gulak in a street fight. Tony Nese beat Mustafa Ali. And Rich Swann and Cedric Alexander beat Noam Dar and Arya Daivari. And that's all for this week's Wrestling Results Roundup. Yeehaw!
I'm Mike, alongside with the founder of the ProWrestlingAlmanac.com, Tristan. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. I would like to say something here. I'd like to thank everybody that did tune in to our first edition of the PWA on the PPV podcast. We actually got more listeners to that than we did to last week's episode, so I think that's pretty good little victory in its own right, wouldn't you say?
No, definitely. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Appreciate it.
And if you haven't had a chance to listen to that, go ahead and go back and listen to it. You can catch it same mediums that you can catch all of the podcasts every week. Tune in, Google Play, iTunes, and YouTube. So go ahead, listen, subscribe, tell your friends, take out an ad, whatever. You know, we just want people to listen. So, yeah. But I don't want to sound desperate, so please listen. I didn't sound desperate, did I?
No, not at all. Not at all. So, you ready for Thanksgiving?
No, I'm not. I am so dang tired, and Thanksgiving for me entails getting up at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, driving to West Valley from Layton, which is about 30 miles away from where I'm at, picking up my brother-in-law, and then driving 4.5 hours down to my in-laws. And where my wife and kids already are.
That's crazy.
And yeah, and then my brother-in-law is going to be staying with us for the rest of the weekend and then driving back up with me on Sunday. So because I've worked 12s all week to cover for the holiday time since I'm going to Disney World in 2.5 weeks. Mm-hmm. New job. I've got to make sure that I've got as much paid time available as I can for this trip. So I worked, ended up working 34 hours in 3 days. So I only had to take 6 hours of personal time to cover the 2 holiday days that I'm taking.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm tired. And you know, it's not like I have a hard job. It's just, I'm at a computer all day. It's mentally exhausting.
Yeah, no, see, we're lucky. We're not doing Thanksgiving tomorrow because Lisa has to work tomorrow night. So we're actually going to be doing it on Saturday.
You at your in-laws or at your parents'?
No, we're going to be we do Thanksgiving at my house.
Oh. Okay.
So everybody's coming over on Saturday, and I'm not going to get any sleep because I tend
to break out the smoker.
Oh yeah, I pretty much tend to do the anti-Thanksgiving now. I mean, growing up, we always had that Norman Rockwell type Thanksgiving, you know, with the perfect turkey and all of that stuff. It's just I got tired of it.
You were the total nuclear family. For sure.
What was that?
You said you were the nuclear family for sure.
Oh yeah, literally. So, for me, I got so tired of it. So like this year, we're doing a Southern style dinner. We're doing a smoked brisket. We're doing turkey breast, and we're doing St. Louis style spare ribs. But that brisket's going to take me about 15 and a half hours to cook.
And that Saturday, I might come down.
Yeah, so
it's only a 6-hour drive.
Well, man. And then the Hey, you're welcome, buddy.
I know, that's why I invited myself, because you've already said I have an open invite to your place anytime. So
you do, but crazy crap happens. I wasn't really planning on doing any big projects. I mean, I have the entire week off. I take this week off for work, and all of a sudden, my next door neighbor comes over and he's like, "Hey, man, we just resodded the entire backyard and got about 1,000 square feet of sod. You want it?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I have literally spent all day today digging up my front yard that needed to be replaced because of the drought.
He just gave it to you?
Just gave it to me.
It's crazy, man.
And so I've been rototilling the yard, raking up everything, and over the next today and tomorrow, I'm going to lay about 1,000 square feet of sod down. And I'm just like, yeah, I wasn't planning on it, but, when someone does something like that, you say, sure.
Yeah, I mean, or you do like Jim Carrey and Tay Leone and Fun with Dick and Jane, and you just go steal people's lawns a square foot at a time.
Damn straight. So, but let's get into the wrestling news.
I forgot this is a wrestling podcast, isn't it?
Yeah, just a little bit.
I thought people were just interested in our lives. Because we have very interesting lives.
Oh, totally. Definitely.
I'm sitting here in exercise pants and no shirt, chewing on one of those plastic tags that you take off and close. The plastic, the little plastic tags that hold the paper tags on. Mm-hmm. So see how interesting I am right now?
Wow.
I know.
So
I know.
It wouldn't be a regular week for us if it wasn't for the fact that Impact just cannot catch a break.
And this one's not even their fault. Like this is
not,
all between Dish Network and CBS, man. Or is it Viacom or Paramount or who is it?
It's CBS Broadcasting. So basically, Dish Network subscribers have lost their access to Impact. Pop TV has been pulled from the network along with other parts,
including CBS.
From CBS, exactly. So people who are a fan of Impact Wrestling, if you got Dish Network, you ain't gonna be watching it. So they can't catch a break.
I know. So I don't want to say it's like, oh yeah, they finally start to move forward. They're not moving forward. If anything, they're treading water. But this is, somebody just deciding to put a foot on their head while they're trying to tread water.
Oh, totally.
Throwing a weight vest around them.
Yeah, it's just, once again, it's just another little, chink in the armor that just keeps wanting to pull this entire, business down.
I'm sorry, I can't stop laughing because I'm thinking of that insurance commercial where the guy's like, "I got you $1. Oh, gotta be quicker than that." That's Impact right there. We got you a TV deal. Oh, you gotta be quicker than that.
Oh man. Oh yeah. So I mean, who knows what's going to go on with them? But let's hope they finally get things taken care of, and maybe can get on a decent network this time. I mean, they were on Spike for how many years? They started with Fox Sports Net. And they went to Spike, so that's a big step up, and they filled a big void when WWE left Spike. They came in and they swooped in and they filled that void, and that was during their hottest years, 2006, 2007, 2008. Hogan and Bischoff came in. They tried to redo the Monday Night Wars. It was an abysmal failure, but. I don't see them ever being on a network that people subscribe to on purpose again. Yeah, it's sad because when they started off they had some promise, and then it just, like you said, it's been going downhill ever since. So. Yeah. Other interesting news: Roman Reigns has now become a Grand Slam champion.
Funnily enough, the other member of the Shield that is a Grand Slam champion,
Dean
not
Ambrose.
Seth Rollins, surprisingly. Yeah, because he's never been Intercontinental Champion, but Dean Ambrose, yeah. And it's the same belts because Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns were tag champs together with the WWE tag titles, which is the Raw tag titles.
Yep.
So
rumor going around, of course, the reason why The Miz lost the title. He's going to be taking some.
That's not a rumor. That's news. He's doing the Marine 6 or whatever.
Yeah, Marine 6. So, and I think that's kind of the problem, that I have nowadays, with all of this stuff going on outside of the ring, that something like this is going to happen going in. He's getting ready to go do filming, and they're probably going to take the title off of him because it's going to be a while until he comes back, and it's just kind of like, okay, I get why you're doing it, but I just I'm not a big
at least they have the decency to work an injury angle and stuff like that. Like, at least they're making the effort to help us suspend disbelief.
Yeah, and which helps. So, speaking of injury, Paige is back.
Yes, and she did not come alone. She had Sonya Deville. And was it Liv Morgan or Mandy Rose?
No, she had Mandy Rose.
Okay, so Liv Morgan's on SmackDown. I'm sorry, they're interchangeable to me.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they put them side by side. They look like twins. Mm-hmm. I mean, it really is. And
then Sonya Deville's got the whole MMA fighter gimmick. And it's entirely possible that they wanted to move her up before Shayna Baszler came into NXT. So Definitely. You didn't have that confusion. My understanding is that they are feeling that the women's divisions on both brands are starting to get a little stale. And
I would agree.
And so they tried to inject some fresh blood in there. Paige has been out for over a year,
year and a half.
Yeah, so it's that which is old is new again.
Exactly. And then on SmackDown, you had Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, and Sarah Logan show up,
who I really like.
Same here.
Yeah, I really like Sarah Logan. Although I'm curious to see how she does as a heel, or if she even works as a heel, because they might not work him as a heel. They might just be like. Just going after everything that moves, like Steve Austin did. So, I mean, we'll see.
Which is possible. I mean,
it'd be nice.
But, the one thing that I can say is that, with Paige back, and now you got the two that came up on Raw with her and the three that came up on SmackDown. I mean, we keep getting closer and closer to having a large enough women's roster on the main event to do a possible 30-card Royal Rumble.
However, I did see news yesterday, that said that match is not in the cards right now.
Where'd you see that?
On 411, but they always cite like PW Insider or Wrestling Inc. or one of those places.
Okay. What was it saying?
It was just saying that they were not planning on doing a women's rumble at this time. Yeah. So,
interesting.
Who knows? I'd love to see it, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they wanted to maybe firm up a larger division first.
Possible. So. I mean, we'll see where everything goes. I mean, things can always change last minute. I mean, we're only about 2.5 months out from the Rumble.
Yeah.
So I mean, it wouldn't be that big of a deal for them to throw one together if they wanted to.
If they wanted to.
But other than that, while in between shows, Kamala was in the hospital.
Yeah.
Wasn't doing well at all. Was on life support.
Well, he's had some rough luck the last couple of years. So he's had he's had both his legs amputated.
Both his legs have been amputated from diabetes.
Diabetic ulcers and whatnot. Yeah.
Yep.
And apparently he was on like full respirator life support, and I guess he's breathing on his own. So he's out of the woods, but there's still trees. Does that sound? Is that a decent analogy?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to think about it, and it's really weird when you say what I'm about to say. He's only 67 years old, but let's be honest. For a lot of those guys,
they're a lot older than that.
They're a lot older than that because, that lifestyle that a lot of those guys led, and we're not saying that, James Harris, aka Kamala, was part of that. But the business takes a toll on you.
Well, right. Consider the fact that this guy spent most of his career on the top side of 350, and he's over 6'5". He's a tall dude, or at least he was
6'7", if I remember.
Yeah,
correct.
The guy's a legitimate monster. And just that in and of itself wears on your life. I mean, for example, look how much shorter a lifespan a Great Dane has compared to like a Dachshund.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. So, the most recent issues that he's been dealing with were also caused by diabetic complications.
Which I mean, do we know has he always been a diabetic, or is it like weight and lifestyle related, or what? Do we know?
I don't know. Basically, it says here in 2011 and 2012, he had both legs amputated as a result from complications with diabetes and high blood pressure. Yeah. This instance was due to his lungs and the area around his heart being filled with fluid.
Oh, goodness.
So, but the reports are saying now that
carditis?
I believe so, yes. So now he's breathing on his own. Doctors are hoping to take him off the ventilator completely, but he's still unable to talk. So he's alert, though, understands his doctors and those staying with him and supporting him at the hospital. So.
Well, that's good. We want to wish Mr. Harris and his family the best.
Definitely.
Of course, the guy is a legit legend. And also a human being that nobody wants to see go through this. So, except for Charles Manson, like that guy couldn't have suffered enough.
I'm
pretty glad. Like, I hope, like, as he was dying, like, somebody decided to, like, step on his nuts or something.
Works for me.
Just because, couldn't happen to a nicer guy. He was 83, so he died about 82 years too late. You have all these nice people that their kids die from SIDS, and he couldn't be one of them.
Yeah, I know.
That's,
So, but getting back into wrestling.
Yeah, because screw that Charles Manson guy.
Damn straight. So it just came out today. WWE released their pay-per-view schedule for 2018.
Yeah. Pretty sure I'll be going to 2 pay-per-views this next year.
Possibly. So little interesting on what they're doing. They are down to 14 pay-per-views. The schedule calls for there to be 5 Raw shows, 4 SmackDown shows, and now 5 combined shows. And the 5th one is going to be Money in the Bank. So basically, we're going to have the Royal Rumble, which is going to be January 28th in Philly. Elimination Chamber is going to be a Raw exclusive show, and that's February 25th in Vegas. Fastlane is going to be SmackDown show in March 11th in Columbus, Ohio. WrestleMania 34 is going to be April 8th in New Orleans.
Nolans. I think this is the latest that they've ever had a WrestleMania.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think April 8th is the latest date they've had one.
Yeah, Backlash is the Raw exclusive show. That's going to be May 6th in Newark, New Jersey. So any of you people there, lock your cars and make sure, that Newark, New Jersey is the car theft capital of the world.
No, I did not know that.
Yes, more cars get stolen in Newark, New Jersey than anywhere else in the world. It's one of those. Is
that amount or is that per capita?
I believe it's amount.
Okay.
So after Backlash, you got Payback, which is going to be a SmackDown show. That's also going to be in May 27th in Baltimore. Money in the Bank is going to be June 17th in Chicago. So that'll be a very interesting pay-per-view scene.
Money in the Bank in Chicago?
Yeah.
Well, I remember something last time they had Money in the Bank in Chicago.
I also remember something that happened the last time the Royal Rumble was in Philadelphia, but
it's probably going to happen again too.
Oh God, nope.
No,
Braun Strowman's eliminating 29 others.
We're gonna just go ahead and say it. It's like the big lie. If we say it enough times,
if we keep saying it enough times, it's finally going to happen. After that, we're going to have Battleground, which is a Raw exclusive show, July 15th in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, followed by SummerSlam, which is going to be back in Brooklyn, New York on August 19th. Then in September, you're going to have Extreme Rules, which is a Raw exclusive on the 16th.
September? That's interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be September 16th in San Antonio. And then you're going to have on September 30th in Nashville, Tennessee, Hell in a Cell. Once again, SmackDown exclusive.
So no Mercy this year, huh?
Yeah, no Mercy this year. Then you're going to have October 21st in Boston, Massachusetts. TLC.
Oh, yeah, Hell in a Cell's. They're doing, it's Clash that's in Boston, right?
This year, yes.
Yeah.
So, and TLC is going to be a Raw exclusive. So it looks like what they're going to be doing, Hell in a Cell is going to just continue to stay with SmackDown. TLC is going to stay with Raw. I mean, it makes sense for some of these shows because they can always go back to previous years and reference what happened last year.
Like last year, this year, Elimination Chamber was SmackDown and Fastlane was Raw.
Yes.
But, they got rid of No Mercy. They got rid of Great Balls of Fire. Roadblock was last year and did not happen again this year. You'd mentioned that in your text, but it looks like no Mercy, no Great Balls of Fire. And you said Money in the Bank is a dual branded show.
Yes. Last two shows of the year, November 18th in my backyard, which we might have to go to. Survivor Series at Staples Center.
Just got to plan it in advance this time. None of those, hey, the show's in 2 weeks. You want to go?
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, the last pay-per-view of the year, Clash of Champions, which is going to be a SmackDown exclusive, December 16th in San Jose, California.
All right. So they're doing two in Cali, one after the other. Oh, that's surprising.
Yeah, two in Cali, and you are only going to have two pay-per-views in the same month twice. It's going to happen in
April?
May with
May, right?
No, May,
and then September.
May and September. So, I'm not going to sit there and say I'm really sad that Great Balls of Fire is gone. I didn't like the idea. Excuse me, sorry about that. But
it was a hell of a card, though, man. That was such a good show.
It was a good show. I just think the theming behind it, the whole problems they had with the original poster coming out, and then supposedly them almost being sued by Jerry Lee Lewis because they didn't ask for the rights originally.
Yeah, but then they ended up using the song, so
which they got the permission for, and they had to pay royalties. But yeah, but there's been talks going around that the WWE is trying to cut costs. Dropping a couple of pay-per-views definitely does that. So we'll see where it goes from there. But
you got another thing. You got Starrcade coming up on Friday. Now,
Saturday.
Is it Saturday? I thought it was Friday. Okay,
it's Saturday.
Friday in Greensboro, and but it's not going to be. It's not going to be seen anywhere but the arena. I imagine they're probably going to have cameras rolling, so we will probably see some footage from it, and they'll probably post pictures on their website. But that'll be about it.
Yeah, I with something like that, I understand them not doing it live. It costs a lot of money for them to do it live, but you know what? Record the show, put it up. People are going to want to watch it.
I think so. I think they should have waited on doing the title switch until then with Charlotte.
I agree. But what's the now? Is AJ going to be wrestling Jinder at this one?
The main event advertised was a cage match between Jinder and Nakamura.
Original.
Right. So, I don't know.
Let me see here.
I haven't seen any updates but admittedly I haven't looked because it's not like I'm going to get to watch it.
Okay, so yeah, because they've made some changes.
Oh, of course, like the Hardys aren't facing the Rock and Roll Express anymore. The Good Brothers are.
Okay, so here we go. You're going to have the WWE Championship Steel Cage match. It's going to be AJ Styles versus Jinder Mahal.
Yeah.
But remember, they just announced don't hold back. Tell me how you really feel. But remember, they did announce that AJ and Jinder are going to face each other at Clash of Champions.
Yes, they are.
SmackDown's Women's Championship Steel Cage match is going to be Charlotte versus Natty. You're going to have the United States Championship match, which is going to be Baron Corbin versus Shinsuke. You're going to have a SmackDown Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way, which is going to be the Usos versus the New Day versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable.
Stop saying Benjamin. You're not 5 years old.
Benjamin. So then you're going to have Bobby
I know
Roode.
that's how it's pronounced because I looked it up in the library.
Yeah.
Last February.
So you're going to have Bobby Roode against Dolph Ziggler, and then it says Dustin Rhodes versus Dash Wilder.
I like that it's Dustin Rhodes.
I do too, not Goldust.
Right.
So
I really hope he comes out to the American Dream music too, because that would be awesome.
that would be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it says the original card featured Mahal defending the title against Nakamura. And what was it?
The Hardys versus the Rock and Roll Express was another one.
Yes, and then it was also going to say the New Day as tag team champions were going to be facing the Usos in a Texas Tornado match for the titles.
Yeah.
So there have been some changes.
Well, and that's how it always is, you know.
Oh,
so.
yeah. So that's it for the news this week. If you give us a check. Take a look on Facebook or visit our site, ProWrestlingAlmanac.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at PWAlmanac and on Facebook.
You didn't even have to finish that sentence. I like how it started. Just give us a check.
Yeah, give us a check,
Why not?
Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and on iTunes, and we can also be heard on TuneIn Radio and Google Play.
You can subscribe there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And, apparently, Google Play downloads automatically because it downloaded without me even realizing it was doing it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, hey, I don't know if you're ready, but it's that time again. We're going to play Stump the Almanac.
Yay. I'm ready. Let's do this.
You ready?
I'm ready. I'm not going to put in those stupid sound effects this week because that was terrible.
All right. So, seeing how on Sunday we had the 2017 edition of the Survivor Series, the questions this week are going to be about Survivor Series.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, I thought I was going to throw you a curveball. I mean, maybe going to do the Royal Rumble.
That was a good little lead-in, and I thought you were leading somewhere, and then you said Survivor Series. I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
that's a surprise.
So, all right, first question. What year did the first Survivor
87.
Series take place? 87 is correct. At the 1994 event, Clowns R Us, led by Doink the Clown, took on the Royal Family, led by Jerry Lawler. But who of the following was not on Doink's team? I can give you the...
Well, I mean, you're going to need to give me the options. I know it was Doink, Dink, Wink, and Pink, so whichever option isn't one of those four.
Okay, so it's Dink, Pink, Wink, or Sink?
Sink.
You are correct.
Yes.
How long did the 2016 main event last between Goldberg and Brock Lesnar?
Geez. It's like 1 minute, 38 seconds.
Close. 1 minute, 26 seconds.
Okay.
During the 1990 Survivor Series, the Gobbledygooker debuted when it hatched from an egg, but from which iconic wrestling family was the person under the mask?
It was from the Butterball family, right? It was Hector Guerrero. So
it was Hector Guerrero.
Family.
Yep.
We actually mentioned that by name last week, so that was...
Yes, we did. Which was the first Survivor Series that didn't have a tag match as the main event?
Well, shoot, it wasn't 91 because that wasn't the main event. It was in the middle of the card. But you might be counting that one. I don't know.
No.
Then it was 95.
No, it was not.
Oh, well, hang on. 92. Sorry. Brett versus Shawn.
And what was that is correct. At the 2004
Survivor Series. I forgot about that one for some reason. I don't know why.
You know, it's rare that.
Yeah, but as soon as you said no, that you're wrong, and I was like, oh yeah, no, you're right, I am wrong. Well, it was the one I picked was also a Bret Hart match, by the way. So.
Yeah,
Bret versus DC.
All right, so next question. At the 2004 Survivor Series, the main event was Team Orton versus Team Triple H. Mm-hmm. Triple H's team lost, but who was the first person eliminated from the team?
Let me see.
I can give you the list.
Yeah, please do. I have a name in mind, and I don't think it's right.
All right. Edge, Batista, Maven, or Gene Snitsky?
That was the name I had in mind, Gene Snitsky.
No, the correct answer is Batista.
Interesting.
He was eliminated with an enziguri from Chris Jericho.
But that was the name that I had in my head. It was Gene Snitsky.
Was Snitsky.
Yeah. I don't even know if he was on the team. I haven't watched that show in forever. I do know that Maven was on Orton's team, and that Orton was the sole survivor, and that the winning team got to control Raw for a week each.
That's right. So, all right, here.
If those were any of the future questions, then I've answered those.
No. So, which WWE superstar returned at Survivor Series 2008 to win the championship?
Edge.
That is correct. Which Ohio city was the first city in America? What was that?
Richfield.
That is correct. Two more, and then we're done. Which of the following wrestlers did not make their debut at Survivor Series?
Okay.
And those are The Rock.
Yep. He did.
Kurt Angle.
He did.
Undertaker.
He did.
Or Edge.
Edge.
That is correct. And the last question. At the 2002 Survivor Series, the Elimination Chamber debuted in the WWE. Mm-hmm. But which authority figure introduced it to
Eric
the
Bischoff.
WWE? That is correct. Eric Bischoff. So there you go. All right, man. Not bad. Not bad at all.
What I miss, like one?
You missed, I think, two. I wasn't keeping track, but
I missed the
one
Batista
or two.
one, and well, I know my initial answer on the one that
92,
92 was wrong, but I corrected myself pretty quick. You can count that or not. I don't care.
Okay, yeah, I'll ding you wherever I can. So,
I would.
But so that's it, folks. If you have any questions, once again, and you want to try to stump the Almanac, please send them into the email address we have set up, stumpthealmanac@gmail.com. Once again, Tristan does not have access to this email. So send in your questions, see if you can stump them. But that's it for that segment. And now we're going to go take a look back into wrestling history as we're visited by the ghost of wrestling's past.
Are you the spirit whose coming was foretold?
I am.
Who? What are you?
I am the ghost.
Wrestling's
past.
So, once again, in keeping with the theme of Sunday's pay-per-view, I think it was something we said we're going to try to do on at least the big four. I did the Ghost of Wrestling. I did. So I picked the 1990 Survivor Series, which Tristan had a little bit of a problem with, but
yeah, I did.
Okay,
and
so
it wasn't as bad as I remembered it being. It's been so long since I watched it. It really wasn't that terrible. Bret Hart and Ted DiBiase had a hell of a match between the two of them once they were the last two members of their team. Mm-hmm. And even the gobbledygooker, man, like he got the crowd behind him. by the end of his little thing. I mean, it went on way too long, and I still hated that Ultimate Survival match, but, you know.
You know, it was interesting how they did that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I liked the concept where, you know, the survivors from their teams who won the match made it to a final match at the end of the evening. It just so happened that it was a, 5-on-3.
Yeah. You know what would be interesting if they were to do something like that nowadays is they could make it, they have like 4 survivor matches and then have like a fatal 4-way with the surviving members. So you don't have to have those, these are the bad guys, so they go on one team.
Yeah, well, definitely.
It was very, very. It eliminated, like I like to say, that suspension of disbelief.
Well, exactly, and the one thing I think that I did enjoy, and we mentioned it, and I don't want to get too far back into, the last Sunday's pay-per-view. I did like the fact that the final match of the evening had more than one survivor.
Yes.
To me, it always seems, they overplay the whole sole survivor thing.
You had 4 of the 5 survivor matches, initial survivor matches in this show, had one survivor. Mm-hmm. And then the one that didn't had 4 survivors.
Yes. Yeah. Which led to the final match of the evening was Hogan, Santana, and the Ultimate Warrior against Hercules, Paul Roma, Rick Martel, Ted DiBiase, and the Warlord.
Yes.
In today's day and age, I think if they really want to do this whole sole survivor thing, I think that concept would work where whoever is left over, or you want to call them the ultimate survivor or what have you. I mean, I know they're not going to go back to the day where you have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Survivor Series elimination matches. I mean, those days are over. I'd like to. I agree. I loved the concept. Going back and
now that Survivor Series is going to be that brand warfare. Mm-hmm. Last year they did 3 Survivor Series matches, 3 elimination matches, and those tag team matches, they're just a little too busy. You're talking 20 guys instead of 10, and it's, I don't know, when it's not a battle royal, it can get a little cumbersome to have that many bodies around the ring.
Yes.
So,
but I've always liked the traditional Survivor Series matches. It's what you and I grew up with. It's what we remember. I
think it's hilarious though that we sit here and we pine for shows like that, the Survivor Series traditional 5-on-5, 4-on-4, and that was the show. And ever since 91, they've gone away from that, and they really haven't gone back to that complete format since. And yet, when they have a show like Lockdown in TNA, that all the matches are in a steel cage, people complain. But it's the same template. So, I mean, I suppose that the major gripe is that a steel cage match is supposed to be like a feud ender and supposed to have a purpose, whereas these elimination matches are a gimmick. The entire pay-per-view is based around said gimmick. And so, King of the Ring being the King of the Ring tournament, the Royal Rumble is centered around the Royal Rumble. The Survivor Series was centered around the Survivor Series, and it was a series of survival matches. So, funnily enough, Katie, my 12-year-old, for those who may not have heard the show before, she texted me last night because they didn't have school today. And she texted me and asked to get my login information for the WWE Network because she wanted to watch the show, and she accidentally put on the 2016 one at first and was trying to figure out what team Asuka was on because it was the women's match, I guess, leading the show. And she's like, nope, I'm on the wrong one, and she typed in Survival Series. I was like, no, it's Survivor. She, oh, okay, I found it. Thank you.
So did she watch this one?
Yeah, she did.
Nice. What did she think about it?
I haven't talked to her about it yet. I'll talk to her about it probably tomorrow. But yeah, she. I told she wanted to watch Survivor Series, and I said watch Takeover instead. But she wanted to see Asuka, and she was really psyched about seeing 4 of her favorite wrestlers all on one team, being Team SmackDown of the men.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's the thing I like about it is that, you could get these random teams,
right.
But I mean, like, let's think about it. I mean, the first match of the evening was the Warriors, which consisted of Animal Hawk, the Texas Tornado, and the Ultimate Warrior.
Which, if I could interject, that was a very, very brilliant team to put together with that name, because before the Legion of Doom were in the WWE, and even after, but it was when they were introduced separately. What were they called?
The Warriors.
The Road Warriors.
The Road Warriors, yeah.
And in WCCW, Kerry Von Erich was the modern-day Warrior. And it can go even further in that in WCCW, Jim Hellwig was the Dingo Warrior.
The Dingo Warrior, yeah.
So there was probably some foresight done in putting that team together, other than the fact that these were, good teams to throw together. Because if they were going for like the champions thing, well, then they would have thrown the Hart Foundation on that team instead of the Road Warriors. Mm-hmm. But there was definitely some thought put into that. Also, another. Go ahead and say who else is in the match, and then I'm going to interject another quick piece of trivia.
Well, they went up against the Perfect Team, which consisted of basically Demolition and Mr. Perfect.
Wait, and Mr. Perfect on the Perfect? The hell you say?
Go figure. But I mean, once again, when would you ever see Mr. Perfect, have a match with Demolition? Other than this.
Also, let's not undersell the fact that it was Demolition versus the Road Warriors.
Exactly.
And so you got a lot of things. Now, your feuds were carrying over. So the Warrior was feuding with Mr. Perfect. And Kerry Von Erich was feuding with Mr. Perfect. And the Road Warriors were feuding with Demolition. Now, funnily enough, what date was this show on?
It was on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah,
actually.
But what was the date?
November 22nd, 1990.
So 3 days prior to this, Mr. Perfect actually won the Intercontinental title back at a Superstars taping. And but the title change hadn't aired on TV as they so commonly did, since only an arena full of people saw it. Kerry Von Erich was still wearing the belt come Survivor Series. It was a very rare move for them to do that, to have a champion go into a pay-per-view with the belt after having already lost the belt. I mean, at least he wasn't defending it.
Yeah.
But, an interesting little thing nonetheless.
Well, and definitely something that could not be done today.
No, you couldn't do it today with the internet and everything. And even then, I mean, I'm sure there were gobs of people that knew about it. It's not like they didn't have telephones.
No, but I mean, it's just, once again, it was a lot different then than it is now. So
exactly. You cannot pre-tape months worth of shows like you used to be able to. I mean, granted, Impact Wrestling hasn't figured that out yet, but you can't do it.
No, you can't. Second match of the evening, you had the $1 Million Team, which consisted of Honky Tonk Man, Greg Valentine, Ted DiBiase, and The Undertaker.
In his debut.
Went up against the Dream Team of Bret Hart, Dusty Rhodes, Coco Beware, and Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
Yeah, so interesting little thing that the Hart Foundation were the tag champs. And they were... hang on. You said Neidhart was on the team?
Neidhart was on the team.
It was a different Survivor. It was the year before that they split him up then. My phone just died. The only reason I acknowledge it is because it made noise. It was Dean Hart that had passed away the day before Survivor Series. And in Bret Hart's book, he talks about this, and Roddy Piper acknowledged it as well, but Bret Hart talks about the fact that Ted DiBiase wanted to make sure that Bret got to have a fitting tribute for his brother, which is why when everybody else is eliminated, they went another 10 minutes or something. And just the two of them, and had a tremendous match between the two of them. But you get The Undertaker, who is, a walking cartoon character being managed by a walking cartoon character. And how did this guy ever get over? And it's only because Mark Calloway committed himself to that character and to that gimmick so wholly that it got over.
Oh, yeah.
If you had somebody who was less committed to that gimmick than he was, it never would have made it. But
you know what? As crazy as it sounds, it almost seems like if we look at today, for instance, I really think one of the biggest problems that Bray Wyatt has is that he does not protect his character.
Yeah, he does.
No, look at what he posts on Facebook. Look what he posts a lot of family stuff. He posts a lot of stuff of him outside of the ring, on vacation with friends. What I'm saying is,
you never saw any of that stuff with The Undertaker until he became the American Badass.
Exactly. He always protected the Undertaker character. When
he stopped being the dead man, it was the resurrected man.
Yes. So, I mean, that's part of, I think the thing with him is that, he lived, breathed, ate, slept. He was Taker.
100%.
And it's very rarely in his, other than, of course, the American Badass, the interview he did for Ric Flair's 30 for 30 is one of the first times I can remember him doing an interview
out of character,
which will be interesting to see what he does for the 25th anniversary for Raw. But
I imagine he'll be Undertaker.
Oh, of course.
But it also helps that the people he was facing took him seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Because had they not taken him seriously, it doesn't matter how straight he plays it. If his opponents say he's a joke, he's a joke.
Oh, yeah.
And even when, you go into the late 90s when The Rock was making fun of everybody, he never belittled the character of The Undertaker. He never made fun of the fact that he was dead. He would just make fun of the dead man. He never, and he always, even if I didn't appreciate the fact that he belittled his opponents and thus made them look beneath him and thus not worth facing. So if he beat them, so what? He beat them, and if he didn't beat them, well, he just lost to a loser. I've never liked that about The Rock, but he always acknowledged people's gimmicks, and I can appreciate that. But Mark Calloway has to go down as one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time, simply because, one, you look at the quality of matches that he had compared to the quality of opponent that he had. So later in his career, he had much higher quality opponents than he did early in his career. Early in his career, he was a circus act. So he's fighting guys like Kamala, who, in his younger days was a beast, but in his older days, he was just a big fat guy.
The Giant Gonzalez.
Yeah, the Giant Gonzalez. Mr. Hughes. Brian Lee as the fake Undertaker. And it really wasn't until he started feuding with Bret Hart and Diesel and Shawn Michaels that his match and Mick Foley, really, that his match quality was commensurate to his opponents. And but you look, he had terrible matches that popped the crowd, that the crowd was entertained by, that people wanted to see The Undertaker against Giant Gonzalez because it was a freak show. They didn't want to watch The Undertaker, go hold for hold with Giant Gonzalez. They wanted to see if The Undertaker could chokeslam Giant Gonzalez, if he could knock him off his feet. And so that's what we got. And so he had good matches that did not match up with the quality of opponent that he had, and then his quality of opponent went up, and and we got to see what a great worker he really was for a guy who is a legitimate 6'9", 6'10", and over 300 pounds. This guy could put it down.
He will go down as one of, if not the greatest, most agile big men.
No, I don't think that is in question, that he's the best big man ever. But the fact is that you can just take the big man thing out of the equation, because, he had technical matches, he had brawls, he'd have Hell in a Cells, he had everything you could imagine.
Yeah.
So, The Undertaker, if you're doing a top 50 wrestlers of all time, best wrestlers of all time, he's on that list, and he's in the lower half.
He is on my Mount Rushmore.
My Mount Rushmore is, you can't, my Mount Rushmore is Bruno Sammartino, Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin, and John Cena, because that's it. When you want to talk about, without those four guys, wrestling doesn't exist in the form it is today. Period.
See, for me, it was Undertaker, Ric Flair, Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. Well, how much money did Ric Flair draw compared to Hulk Hogan? Not even in the same universe.
Yeah.
I don't think you can put any guys that aren't WWF guys on a real objective Mount Rushmore. A Mount Rushmore that doesn't have Bruno Sammartino on it isn't a Mount Rushmore.
No, I can see where you're going, and that's the problem with the whole Mount Rushmore,
because objectivity is not objective.
Exactly. Like you said, Bruno Sammartino, longest reigning champion ever,
and it will never be surpassed.
Oh God, no! Not in today's day and age.
Never.
And you can't even take John Cena's 16-time championships and combine them all, and you're still not even a quarter of the way.
No.
To
and John
what
Cena
Sammartino
had one reign that was just shy of a year, and one reign that was over a year.
Mm-hmm.
And Sammartino held the belt for 11 years combined,
and 8 years in one stretch.
Yeah.
So, definitely. So, all right. Third match of the evening, you had the Visionaries, which was Hercules, Paul Roma, so Power and Glory.
Martel, and the Warlord,
Yeah, going up against the Vipers, which was Jake Roberts, Snuka, Jannetty, and Michaels.
Jake Roberts sporting a hell of a contact.
Yep. Yes, he was.
That was good stuff.
Wasn't a bad match. I enjoyed it.
Rick Martel's a hell of a worker, and they really like using him for benchmarks, because he, for a while, he was the Iron Man in the Rumble, and then he was the captain of the first team to bat 1,000. And so, like, Rick Martel, I think, is is vastly underrated.
Well, I definitely think that Rick Martel, needs to eventually go into the WWE Hall of Fame.
For sure. He's a 3-time tag team champion. Mm-hmm. And he should have been Intercontinental champion at some point, I think.
You know what? He where we talk about someone like a Roddy Piper and a Mr. Perfect. Jake Roberts, guys who deserved and should have been WWF champion.
Right.
Rick Martel is definitely one of those guys that should have been an IC champion.
He was AWA champion.
Yes, he was.
So was Kurt Hennig.
Yes, I did know that.
And so was Larry Zbyszko.
The living legend.
You know why he had that belt, right?
No.
He is or was married to Vern Gagne's daughter, and when the AWA was falling apart, he needed to put the belt on somebody he could trust.
Okay. Well, that would make sense.
Right.
One really quick thing that made me laugh about this match, though, was when, Jake was running out of the ring holding Damien. He had to start skipping
because Damien was wrapped around his foot.
Because Damien was wrapped around his left leg while he was holding him up.
Yep.
Which I thought was absolutely hilarious.
And Piper dropping a bomb during the match, that match as well.
That is true. Yeah, Piper on commentary could be interesting.
Yeah, it'd be like Scott Steiner on commentary.
Basically. Fourth match
you never know what you're gonna ask, piece of shit.
Basically true. Fourth match of the evening, you had the Hulkamaniacs, which was Big Boss Man Hogan, Duggan, and Tugboat going up against the Natural Disasters, which consisted of the Barbarian, Dino Bravo, Earthquake, and Haku. Mang. The most badass man in wrestling.
Yep.
And then, you got Tugboat, who later went on.
Yeah.
Well, Typhoon, but then also
the Shockmaster.
Uncle
Fred. I think that was Uncle Fred. Oh, man. I forgot. I, blocked that out for a moment. I completely forgot about the Shockmaster in the moment. I was definitely thinking about it when I was watching the show.
Oh, I know, but still, I love what you just said, though. I mean, when they're talking with Dusty Rhodes, and just out of nowhere he goes, "Yeah, my kids are like, I think that's Uncle Fred,"
because the helmet came off. I just love the fact that entire debacle was the fault of some freaking grip. Yes, some set guy. Some guy
put up the 2x4 because the wall,
because he went by and saw that it wasn't anchored, and he came by and fixed it, and he wasn't supposed to be fixed.
Oh man, God, I'm just Fred Ottman. That's his name in real life. I'm looking at the ring names he went under. Good Lord. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Go look at Ed Leslie.
Ed Leslie?
Because Tugboat, all the ring names that he went under, he was Sailor Jim and stuff like that, or Sailor Fred, and they were all
you had
indie names. But Ed Leslie went through all of these names on TV. Because he was Dizzy Boulder, and then he was Dizzy Hogan.
Here you go. You had Baron Beefcake, Big Brother Booty, the Booty Man, Brother Brute Force, Brother Brutai, Brute Force, Brutus Beefcake, the Butcher, the Clipmaster, the Disciple, Dizzy Hogan.
That was WCW trying to have the barber.
Okay, Dizzy Hogan, Ed Boulder, Eddie Hogan, the Mariner, the Man with No Name, the Zodiac, and the Zodiac Man.
So the Zodiac and the Zodiac Man were both in the Dungeon of Doom. The Booty Man was after the Dungeon of Doom when he was revealed he was Hogan's spy, but before the Dungeon of Doom, he became the Butcher after he had turned on Hogan when he was Brother Brudeye. He didn't really have a name. And then after that, he became the disciple after he got jumped by the NWO. And the man with no name was around that same time too. I mean, it was just ridiculous. And then the Ed Boulder, Eddie Hogan, Dizzy Hogan, those were all like the beginning of his career, because he was like Hogan's he had like a total like dude crush on Hogan.
Oh yeah,
so,
up until they finally had their real life blow up. But
boy,
yeah,
we don't need to get into that because that's silly. It's not even wrestling news anymore because neither are moving involved in wrestling anymore.
Pretty much. Fifth match of the evening, you had the Alliance, which was Butch, Luke, Nikolai Volkov, and Tito Santana defeating the Mercenaries of Boris. How do you say that last name?
Zukov.
Yeah, that's right. Zukov, Sergeant Slaughter, Sato, and Tanaka.
Okay, so so Sato is Paul Diamond, right? No, Sato's not Paul Diamond. Kato is Paul Diamond, I think. Was Sato under a mask or no?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
One of them was Shinza, the manager of Hakushi, and the other one was Paul Diamond, because Paul Diamond and Pat Tanaka were bad company in the AWA.
Okay.
So let's just say that it was Shinza, right? So you have, in that match, representing America, an alliance between a Lithuanian, a Mexican, and two New Zealanders.
Yeah.
Against the guys that are against America, which is a Russian, two Japanese guys, and an American. Yeah. It's kind of like back in in 1997 when Team Canada was represented by Jim Neidhart from Reno, Doug Furness from Oklahoma, Davey Boy Smith from Manchester, England, and Phil LaFawn from Canada. So Team Canada represented by three Canadians. Guess who the sole survivor was? I'll give you a hint. It wasn't the Canadian.
Oh,
and they were in Canada.
Our friendly, or as you and I in our younger days like to refer to them as America Junior,
or the People's Republic of Bob.
Yeah, our friendly neighbors to the north.
America's hat.
Oh God. You know, though, I wouldn't mind moving to Canada if I could get like a couple thousand acres up in like Calgary. Beautiful country up there.
In Calgary.
Huh?
I would want to live in Calgary.
You would?
I could just breed wrestlers. Like freaking livestock.
That's basically, I mean, it is the cattle.
Have a wrestler farm and a hockey player farm. I'd be rich.
Oh man, that would be
just grow
good times.
Hockey players and wrestlers. You grow hockey players, I'll grow wrestlers.
That works. And then last match of the evening, we already kind of went over that one. It was
no, you forgot about the main event, dude. You forgot about the main event of the whole show. Come on.
The gobbledygooker.
The gooker, dude. Yes, the main event of the entire show. This was such a big event. It was still being honored on WrestleMania 11 years later.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Such a huge event.
Well, and like I told you, the fact that they got Hector Guerrero to reprise his role as the Gooker.
Oh, man.
I mean, you know, if it wasn't for the fact, I'll be honest, I would have absolutely, because you and I remember, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, we were watching WrestleMania 17 together, right?
Yeah, this was, we didn't meet till the end of that year.
Okay. I remember watching that one, and, you know, we both agree the reason that the Iron Sheik won is because his knees were so bad they couldn't throw him out of the ring.
Right.
I would have loved to have seen the Gooker win the Battle Royal.
I just love the fact that guys, like, it's a gimmick Battle Royal. So the Gobbledygooker, the Goon, Duke the Dumpster Drosy, those guys
the
all
Repo
fit.
Man.
The Repo Man. But Sergeant Slaughter, Nikolai Volkov, the Iron Sheik, those guys shouldn't have even been in there. Those guys were not gimmicks. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like they should have had like the Red Rooster, and there were so many that they could have put in the Man Mountain Rock, all the guys that were like jobs, Henry O. Godwin. Like, why the heck wasn't Henry Godwin in there, or at least Phineas Godwin? Midian, I think, was still under contract.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they could have done, truthfully though, let's be honest, it was a WrestleMania payday for a lot of those guys.
Yeah. Like Michael P.S. Hayes was only there because they were in Houston.
Well, exactly.
So.
Comes out wearing his Confederate flag.
Oh, man, yeah.
It's something that you would never see in today's WWE.
Well, you might, because Michael Hayes is still Michael Hayes.
That's true. So
remember, Michael Hayes is the one that wanted to, who wanted to give Mark Henry the nickname the Silverback. And he's like, look, I got little black kids at home. I can't be going around being named after a gorilla. I can't do it. Like I understand what you're trying to get at, but I can't do it.
Oh man.
So.
It's crazy.
Is it stand up for himself like that?
As crazy as it sounds, I'm just waiting for, with all of these allegations and crap going on, I'm just waiting for the day where here comes Michael PSAs and everybody goes, everybody knew. This is not a surprise, folks.
Well, no, remember what, you mean that guy dressed like a dragon that jumped off a ladder on a thumbtacks was on cocaine? Tell me that's not like the greatest meme you've ever seen.
Oh yeah, no, it was good
and true.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. So, so I know you were dreading this going into it, but if you gave this pay-per-view a grade, what would you give it?
Honestly, based on match quality, a B.
Yeah, I'm pretty much right there with you. For me, a little bit higher, maybe a B+, just because it is that nostalgic, going back and watching the pay-per-view as a true Survivor Series.
Yes. As the last true Survivor Series.
Yeah, basically. So... that's it for the 1990 Survivor Series. Next week's your turn. So what you picking for us?
Well, I decided to pick what is a landmark episode of Monday Night Raw. It was the first Monday Night Raw to take place from Madison Square Garden. So technically it was a Raw is War. And had some pretty major events occur on this show that became very significant to WWE history. And that is the Raw is War from September 20th, 1997.
All right. Ooh, that'll be a good one.
Yes, it will.
Definitely. God, I haven't watched that one in a long time.
Neither have I.
Looking at least. Oh yeah, probably close to a decade for me.
Yeah.
I
was watching through all the Raws and stuff on the network, so I've watched it more recently. But
okay, well, that's it for our Ghost of Wrestling Past segment, and now it's time for the Indie Spotlight. Indie Wrestling. Indie Wrestling. Indie Wrestling. Indie Wrestling. Indie Wrestling. Indie Wrestling. Indie Wrestling, Indie Wrestling, Indie Wrestling, Indie Wrestling.
Okay, so for tonight's Indie Spotlight segment, we're going to do something a little bit different. And we're going to have what is actually our first wrestler interview. We've had interviews with promoters and we've had interviews with people from other websites, but this is our first wrestler. And the wrestler we are interviewing today is Colorado Indy standout Cody Devine. Now, I've known Cody for about 3 years. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. I met Cody at the same time that I met Royce Isaacs, who, I never shut up about it. It's like I got a total dude crush on him, but who doesn't really? And
that's a real fact.
Yeah, that's a real fact. But I met you and Royce and Danny Troy at Slave to the Deathmatch 14 when me and my brother and Tony were standing there, and you guys came over thinking we were wrestlers. And, yeah, because we were there all stupidly early, because that was when I was having delusions of grandeur of being a wrestling promoter instead of the delusions of grandeur that I'm having now of hosting a podcast. So, but that night, that was when you were in a four-way. It was you and Royce. That was like right before he had his breakout. It was you and Royce versus the Pitbulls versus Harry Smith and Mark Merrick and Sam and somebody else that I can't remember who it was. But,
Sam and Matt Yaden, yes.
Yeah, was it Matt Yaden? Wow.
Yes, sir, it was. Oh, man, I got a whole story about that match if you want to hear it.
Absolutely. Go ahead. Go right ahead.
All right. So, Davey Boy Smith, yeah, that was the probably the first big name I got to wrestle on a show.
Yeah.
And I'm just so nervous. I maybe, a year and a half in at that point. Mm-hmm. And I'm just and he's huge. I don't know if you've seen him in person.
He was practically scraping the ceiling at that place, because that was at Fuego.
Club Fuego, yes. And I'm so nervous, but we get into the match, and at one point in the match, I'm in the ring with him, and Royce, who just got done beating him up, tags me in. I'm supposed to beat him up, and he's on his knees, and he's almost as tall as me, and I'm 5'9". I'm pretty average height, and I get this urge to kick him with an enziguri, and he has an MMA background, so I kick him with this enziguri, and I guess I really, really kicked him. He's pissed, stands up, and he knees me, and this this is a shoot, man. He knees me and picks me up for the most real power bomb I've ever faced in my life, and puts me down, and it was horrendous. So I got my first receipt that night.
Yeah, I learned a good lesson.
Oh yes.
Watch those kids.
Yes, and it gets better, because a year later he came back to Primo's Wrestling.
Right, that was when he wrestled Teddy, right?
Yeah, when he wrestled Teddy, and he forgot kick pads. And he comes up to me, does not remember who I am, and he comes up to me and he says, "Hey, kid, do those kick pads work well?" Same ones I got him with. And I'm like, I thought he was joking, so I laughed. I was like, "Oh, yeah, totally, man." And he's like, "No, really, can I use them?" I was like, he has no clue who I am. And so he takes them and he tests them on Teddy, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, these seem pretty padded." And I was like, "If you say so, man." Uses them the whole match. And yeah, right. So that's my story on that match.
Wow, that's pretty great. And that match, the one between Teddy and Harry Smith, Davey Boy Smith Jr., it wound up being the best match I've ever seen live. That match was ridiculous. But
oh yes,
yeah. But so you've come quite a long way since we first met, because you were teaming with Royce as part of the upgrades, and you guys were behind what was his name, Deshaun or?
Oh, Darshawn Kelly,
yes, and it was you and Royce and Darshawn and Danny Troy doing the upgrades, which I absolutely loved. We were the upgrade section. Mike, get this. These guys, we had signs that said upgrade seating only, so after their matches, they used to come up and hang out in our area because it was the upgrade seating.
Well, you're the only ones that liked us.
Well, yeah, because we're marks for the bad guys, or maybe it had to do with the fact that we actually liked you as people, and so we had to support you. I remember seeing Royce at a FSW show throwing up the upgrades symbol, so that was he got a little kick out of that. But,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, you've come a long way, because you were how many time tag team champ? I guess technically a 2-time, right? Because you had the titles with Danny Troy, and then they carried over to you and Jory, right?
I think 3 times now, because me and Royce held him pretty early.
Oh, did you?
Lost him. Me and Danny got him. Lost him. Me and Jory got him. Lost him.
Yeah.
So 3-time Primos tag.
Yeah, 3-time Primos tag, and then you've been a 2-time Primos champion, which is fan-freaking-tastic. I have... Sadly, I've been away from Colorado for over a year, so I have not had the chance. I missed the night when you turned on Royce and you won the title. And I know I said it on Facebook, but allow me to say congratulations on that huge milestone in your career, because that's incredible, buddy.
We've done I myself have done a lot of tag team wrestling over the first portion of my career, and seemed like a good time to move forward from that and to try to stick to more singles wrestling.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an absolutely insane night.
I'm sure. And now are you still the 5280 champion in New Era?
Yes, I am the 5280 champion over at New Era Wrestling still. I think 4 months running now.
That's great.
Just beginning.
And you're still the 6'12". How much do you weigh over there now?
About 527 pounds. It's bulk season. It's winter.
Oh, I see. So you fluctuate throughout the year.
Absolutely.
That's great. So 6'12", 520 something. I remember talking to you about having a hard time with your bio on the Pro Wrestling Almanac page because of the weight thing. But so thus far, what would you say the best match that you have had is in your career?
As of right now, so it's a tough question because I have to look back on, it's more about circumstance and how good a match goes more than just like how good the match goes technically or whatever.
Right.
Off the top of my head, I would probably say, oh God, that's such a tough question. I'm going to go ahead and say my match with Lonnie Valdez, actually, at the Glitter Dome, Lucha Libre and Laughs pre-Taco Fest, pre-party show, was one of my more brutal matches. Went out there and, it was just a strike fest, just going blow for blow.
Was that this year?
That's probably one of my favorite matches.
When was that? Was that this year or last year?
That was Taco Fest last year.
Last year.
So not this year, but last year.
All right. And speaking of Lonnie, he's the one that trained you, correct?
Yes. Yeah. We were very lucky for the training we were able to have when I first started wrestling. Because we got so many different vets all over from Colorado just coming in all the time and training us. And, all these vets walk in and suddenly they see guys like Darshan and Danny Troy and Bryce Isaacs who are in fantastic shape. And me, who is also in the same shape most Colorado wrestlers are in. But I'm a brash dude, handsome man. So definitely.
And we've got the memes from last year this time to prove it, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I have to show you those one of these days, Mike. That's some pretty good stuff.
Sound good?
Yeah, Cody Devine memes.
Oh man, yes, those took off. I did a photo shoot with a friend of mine who just started photography, and she wanted these really just outrageous guy modeling photos, and I didn't want to do it, but my brother wanted some free photos because he's one of those Instagram wannabe Instagram models, and so he starts making these ridiculous, outlandish poses, puckering his lips and stuff, and I to make fun of him, I do it back, and as a joke, I posted one of them on Facebook, and it just blew up. Out of proportion. I didn't even know what to do with myself.
You had people you didn't even know posting stuff. It got out of control.
Oh my God, yes. Funny story, my girlfriend, when it was her dad's birthday, her uncle sent her dad a birthday card with my face on it that said, "Happy birthday, big hunk." And it had my picture on it. And my girlfriend sent this to me, and she was like, it has somehow gotten all the way around to my uncle, who, like, I don't even know the man. And I couldn't even, I was like, this is uncontrollable.
Now, did he know that it was you, is the question? Because if he didn't, that's amazing.
No, he didn't. Yeah, that's the funny thing is, like, I don't know how, because we didn't know each other. I don't even know if I still met him to this day. He did not know who I was, and it somehow got to him.
That is true.
So, yeah, it was absolutely outrageous. I tried to make it happen again this year, but it didn't quite brew the same way.
Was it the same picture?
That is the same photo shoot.
Okay, I thought it looked familiar, but I thought the one that went viral was like we had a tree in it. If I remember correctly.
Yeah, my friends still call me Dawson's Creek for that one photo.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
So, Cody, for those people listening that really haven't been able to follow you or anything, how long have you been wrestling?
As of June next year, I will have been doing shows for 4 years.
Wow.
Okay. And then another question I have.
Wait, real quick, Mike. You're only what, 22?
Yeah, I just turned 23. Turned 23 a few weeks ago.
So you've been doing this your whole adult life, basically.
Yep. Yeah, I started right when I was like 18, right out of high school. Started over at the Primo's Butcher Shop. The only reason I even found it is my sister dated some really shady dude for like a week, and he was like, "I heard you like wrestling." I was like, "I love wrestling," and he told me to give Joe McDougal a call, the promoter at Primo's, and Joe told me show up to this warehouse in the middle of Commerce City, which for those of you who don't know is a kind of sketchy part of town. And I show up and it's just a warehouse, and I was like, I don't think I should go in here, but I went in, and I guess the rest is history.
It is.
I'm starting to think places now just called Commerce are just crap holes. I mean, we got the city of Commerce out here in California, and it's a shithole. It must be just in the name. But so growing up, I mean, I take it you were a wrestling fan then your entire life growing up as a kid?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love wrestling. When I was 5, my dad took me to a WCW Monday Nitro show, and I told him, I was like, that's what I'm going to do when I'm 18. That's what I'm going to do when I grow up. And to this day, I think he's still pretty shocked at the results because I ended up doing it. I remember because we sat next to these two old ladies, and if you've ever been to a Monday Nitro show, in between commercial breaks, they have like their, what were they called? The girls, the Nitro Girls, is that right?
Nitro Girls.
Yes, and they would walk on the ring, and I would cover my face because I was like, oh my God, I can't be looking at this. And the two old ladies next to me would make fun of me, and I was 5, I had a mullet, I was the most bashful little 5-year-old.
So then growing up, who were some of your favorite wrestlers?
Man, favorite of all time is Sting. I actually got one of his shirts at the WCW show, and I still have it to this day.
Nice.
So that's the number one favorite of all time. I also loved the Hurricane. I always thought that was just the coolest little thing.
Why am I not like even a little surprised by that?
You shouldn't be.
Like not even a little bit.
Oh man. Yeah, Hurricane. I don't know. I just thought that was so cool. Oh, man, who else did I like? Those guys are pretty good. I mean, it took me a while to get into WWE, but I actually ended up like really like revamping my love for watching wrestling in middle school, and I started watching TNA. And I thought AJ Styles was like the baddest dude in middle school.
That's because he is. Still
yeah, right. And then, yeah, exactly. And I got to meet him when I did a show in Primo's Canada up in Winnipeg back in 2015, and he's like the nicest man on earth.
That's fantastic. You lucky bastard.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's what's great, man. One of the people I trained with told me that, like, you're going to meet everybody. It just kind of happens. And, like, I don't ever get like starstruck at this point. It's just nice. It's like see these people in real life, and most of them just want to just have real conversation too, which is good. Like I try not to be the biggest mark ever.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, like myself, when I started, I think I just wanted to like hang out with wrestlers, and that's all it was. That's why I wanted to be a promoter, and then I could just then I just started going to the shows, and I was hanging out with wrestlers. But you're absolutely right about the meeting people thing, because I just started helping set the ring up, and I met everybody. I met all the guys that Joey would bring in. And he brought in some names when I was there, Hernandez, and I missed when he brought in like Steve Carino and Paul London and stuff like that. But I've met a fair few people just because of that, so I'm not surprised that you just go to a show and there's just everybody. Now,
yeah, no, it's Go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead. You're the guest. Please say what you're going to say.
It's been great. Joe's brought in a lot of good names over the years. But yeah, it's been awesome meeting some of the names I've been able to meet over the years. And yeah, we've brought in a lot of really awesome people over to Primo's. We actually brought Paul London back a couple months ago, and last weekend as well.
Right. Yeah, and he's doing pretty well for himself right now with the Lucha Underground thing.
Yeah.
So, but that seems to be like where everybody who isn't signed to WWE is going to Lucha Underground.
Yes, yeah. It's been a crazy. I mean, it's such a different show, right. Lucha Underground. I think it works to its advantage for sure. But yeah, Paul just came back. He's like the guy that'll meet you one time and he'll remember everybody's name. Really down to earth kind of guy.
That's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
I got really jealous. I was sitting in Afghanistan when he showed up, so I was a little bummed out. But it was what it was. I was making six figures out there, so I can't really complain.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good deal.
It was for about 6 months. It was pretty great. So I know you're visiting with family for the holidays right now, so I do want to thank you for taking the time to talk with us. But go ahead and just fill us in. What do you have going on? Where have you worked? Where are you planning on working in the near and immediate future?
Oh, absolutely. It's been a really great year for me in terms of places that I wanted to go and give a shot. And for example, I really wanted to try out Hood Slam this year. And I bothered the promoter for, months. And finally he decided to give me an opportunity. I got to work Hood Slam, and it is just the wildest show. Really comparable to Lucha Libre and Laughs over in Denver.
Okay.
That was fantastic.
Which is the best show in Colorado,
out there,
without question.
Yes, Lucha Libre and Laughs has just done some incredible things in just a short amount of time. It's been around as well.
And where's Hood Slam out of?
Hood Slam, that's Oakland, California.
Okay. All right. And
yes,
they're pretty nuts like LLO.
Yeah, it's a little different. Everything's like a crazy gimmick. I had a 6-way match, and my match was against a clown, a pimp, a banana, a Russian, and then like a lover dude, and me. And the banana won the match. And it's just crazy out there. Joey Ryan was on the show that night as well. He did like this Dorito gimmick, and I'm sure you can understand by knowing who Joey Ryan is where that went.
Yeah.
I
feel dirty watching
great.
Joey Ryan wrestle. Like I feel like I need to take a shower, and I think that's what he's going for. So I don't feel bad saying it.
Absolutely. Right, and so that was great. One of my favorite shows of all time. And then I also got the opportunity to do West Coast Wrestling Connection up in Portland, and that was just the most professional, like well-organized, insane show I've ever been a part of.
Wow.
Hoping to get back there sometime in the next year or so as well. Just amazing. Like, they had a production truck, and they had agents, and they had the whole 9 yard. You feel like a superstar the entire weekend. It's great production, great show. You can catch on YouTube as well. But yeah, that was a blast. Another one I was really proud to do as well. And in terms of what's coming up, you got New Era Wrestling, December 2nd. That it will be the first show we have at Mile High Comics. along with January 5th, Lucha Libre and Laughs with Seidel as the new champion.
Oh, yeah,
those are some
Seidel.
dates I have coming up.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I finish up college this December, so after that I'm going to try to do some more
Well, congratulations
touring as well.
on that.
Yeah, it's a short little associate arts degree that'll never do anything for me, so I'm pretty excited about it.
Hey, it's more than I've got, to be honest with you, and I'm pushing 40, so you're doing better than me. But you were doing some acting, weren't you?
Yes, I have been doing some acting. I starred in, I don't know how I managed this, but I got the lead in the play at my community college for a play called Bent, and it is a play about homosexuals being stuck in Nazi incarceration camps in the 1940s, and it's real sad. Wouldn't recommend it for happy people.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, it is.
Drink right now.
Yeah, it's a real sad play. I kill my lover in the first act. In the second act, I meet a new lover, and then I had to dirty talk him on stage in front of both of my parents.
Oh yeah.
And then he dies, and then I kill myself.
So it's an upbeat play then.
Oh, super upbeat, super happy. Comedy. Everyone goes home happy.
He doesn't want to make you jump off your balcony when you get home.
It was rough, but it was a blast. Now I'm trying out for a couple other movies in the next year, and we'll see how those goes. I just sent my auditions out this week.
Trying out for movies.
I don't know why, but I'm gonna just give the acting thing a shot. Why not?
Yeah, might as well. Hey, I mean, to be fair, you're already doing it with the rest.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So.
Yeah, I think my new goal has to be the cheapest possible version of Dwayne Johnson you'll ever meet.
All right.
With the whole acting and wrestling combo, yeah, it's a good goal.
We'll call you the Pebble.
Yes. And I don't know. I took acting classes to kind of help me with my character development and stuff. And my acting teachers just fell in love with me because I'm easy to cast. I'm white and I got brown hair and I'm 5'9", so I'm like every average dude ever. So,
I have to say, I love the fact that you took acting classes for character development. Like it's nice to see younger wrestlers that understand the art form, that it isn't just go out there and spot, because there's too many guys like that.
Oh my gosh, yes. I definitely don't believe in the black trunks, black boots, go out there. And I mean, maybe that's, a lot of those guys are really good wrestlers as well though, but maybe it's an overcompensation thing. Cover up my wrestling skills with these outrageous gimmicks.
Yeah, but you're maybe like a couple years ago, but you've really like come into your own. At least you had a year ago when I left, and so I can only imagine how much better you've gotten. I mean, like my understanding is that you along with Lonnie and Mike Seidel brought the crowd to their feet, and you were filling some pretty big shoes at this last LLL show. You had to fill in for Matt Cross, and you
yes, absolutely
did so apparently.
Yes, I have been very gracious to work with people such as Seidel. I was supposed to pick Matt Cross up from the airport, but the flight got canceled, and so I took his place instead. And I was like, well, that is the polar opposite of the plan I had for my day. But I mean,
just admit it. You didn't pick him up at the airport so you could get into the match, right? That's exactly
right. Yeah. Yes, he's still there. I don't know how he hasn't gotten a hold of anybody. I feel bad, but I don't. No.
No.
But yeah, it's that was a fun night, man.
Sure.
Seidel is just so good, and just so easy to work with. Like, just very, very good talent. And then the Lucha Libre and Laughs crowd, like 400, 500, like plus people, just screaming drunk hipsters. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. That literally showed up because it was you get your regulars, of course, but they show up because it's something different. It's the comedy plus the wrestling. Like, we interviewed Nick on this show, and I've told him, and we were just talking about it. I've talked with a bunch of people, Eric Angel, a bunch of guys that have worked for him and work in Colorado. He runs the best show in Colorado, period.
I mean, he is. You know what? That's the thing about, don't get me wrong. I agree. Lucha Libre and Laughs is outstanding right now, but just a overall state of wrestling in Colorado right now has improved immensely just in the last 5 years alone. From what people who were here before me have told me. And people who are here now, and nonetheless the promoters as well. You got Nick Gossert drawing really well, and you got Matthew Yaden over at Rocky Mountain Pro putting on TV shows.
Yeah,
and you got
they just got on the Global
Joey
Wrestling Network. That's huge. Yes, exactly. And you got, Primo's Wrestling, drawing better crowds and getting some really good names in there. And the last card for the show had Martin and Paul London and Martin Casas and Paul London. It was just fantastic. And New Era Wrestling moving over to Mile High Comics and making big moves. Oh, are they not going to be out in Golden anymore?
No, last month was our last month at the Buffalo Rose, and now we're going to, they're doing a remodel. So.
Oh, I see. Okay, so that's kind of an end of an era type thing.
But it's they've been doing really well. They got this new thing going on with their fans actually over at New Era, where they these fans want to be groupies for different wrestlers.
I saw
and it is. Yes, the Divine Divas. And it's working out so well. And it's actually a really cool thing to see how it's working out. We have a local wrestler, Duff Doyle, who has something called the Doyle Militia. And it's 20 people every show that come in dressed just like him. And it's intense. And all these other fans started giving Duff Doyle the John Cena treatment. And they wanted to be we want to form our own little fan groups for all these other wrestlers. And you get the Morales Mafia for Tony Morales, and you get you get the War Dog Warriors for Damian Payne, and out of nowhere I find out I'm getting a group of my own, but they're the first all-girl group called the Divine Divas. Oh, and boy. Man, was my girlfriend happy to hear that.
Oh, I'm sure.
But no, it was it has actually increased the draw because these fans will go online and they'll argue about their favorite wrestler, and it's just fantastic to see the passion from the fans.
So it makes
the passion from the wrestlers even better. Oh yeah,
it's got old school for sure. To it. That's great. Well, hey,
it's
no, that's fantastic. What were you gonna say?
I was just going to say, just to sum up the point, Colorado wrestling as a whole has just improved over the years due to, the talent coming in, the promoters coming in, and every promotion is working their ass off right now. And it's just fantastic to see. It's a great thing to be a part of because I know that was something that was an early goal of mine. It's just hearing about the state of wrestling in Colorado was to see it improve and try to help it improve. And I feel like I definitely have at least a small part to do with the improvement of it overall.
Well, from where I'm sitting, and I kind of came in right at the beginning of that uptick, I think, when I started watching the quality of shows really go up, and a big part of that was the upgrades as far as at least Primo's goes, for certain. And granted, you guys had a front man and backup dancers, but man, you guys were freaking. You guys were like J-Lo as the Fly Girl backup dancers. You guys were you were stealing the show. You were like Randy on My Name Is Earl, stealing the show from the background with those those $2 green dollar store plastic sunglasses you always had, which were.
Oh, I still have those, and I love them.
Yeah,
yes, they're fantastic. Yes.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna let you go. I just wanted to say, thanks for joining us today. It's really been a treat. We've been wanting to get these interviews going, but we wanted to get a bit of a rhythm before we moved into that. So, like I say, you're the first wrestler we've had the privilege of interviewing, and funnily enough, you were also the first indie wrestler that made it into the database on Pro Wrestling Almanac. So it's kind of appropriate. But
yes.
yeah, and it was pure coincidence both times. But no. I mean, it was absolutely on purpose both times. And but thanks for calling us tonight and chatting with us. And I hope you have a great Thanksgiving and enjoy the time with your family. You got anything to say, Mike?
Yes, thank you.
No, I just wanted to thank him for coming on. Definitely was a good interview. Definitely come back whenever you want. Let us know what you're doing and keep us informed.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, thank you guys so much. Have me back anytime. I can talk about myself all day. It's one of my perks.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, thanks again, and we'll talk to you later.
All righty, have a good one. Thank you.
You
Bye,
too.
buddy.
Take care. And remember, folks, check out the website, ProWrestlingAlmanac.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and on Instagram at PWAlmanac. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and on iTunes. And we can also be heard on TuneIn Radio as well as Google Play. If you want to try to stump the founder of ProWrestlingAlmanac.com,
that's me.
Please send us your trivia to stumpthealmanac@gmail.com. Once again, want to give a big thank you to Cody Devine for coming in and doing an interview with us. If any of you are ever in the Colorado area and you get a chance to check him out, once again, go to Lucha Libre and Laughs. One of the places. New Era is another one.
And Primos.
So once again, thank you, Cody, for joining us. And that's it, folks. The ref has given us the 10 count, which means we're done. So until next week, I'm Mike. And for Tristan, thanks for listening, and we'll see you again when the bell rings.